Gen warning, 4 AI wealth apps are selling your data. Exposed. I ran a privacy audit last Tuesday and found 3 apps sending my portfolio data to servers in Singapore, Belarus, and one location I still cannot identify. We are talking about my bank account numbers, my stock positions, my entire net worth, packaged and shipped overseas every 6 hours like clockwork. And the scariest part? 2 of these apps have over 10 million downloads combined, and I guarantee at least one is sitting on your phone right now. Here is what I am going to show you in the next 10 minutes. First, the exact 4 apps that are hemorrhaging your financial data, and I am naming names because you deserve to know. Second, I discovered something called shadow permissions, that these apps use to access way more than you ever agreed to, and I will show you how to check for them in under 30 seconds. Third, and this one kept me up at night, I found a specific clause buried in one app's terms of service that essentially gives them the right to sell your investment patterns to hedge funds. Your data could literally be used to trade against you. But before I expose each app, you need to understand how I even discovered this, because it started with a notification that made my stomach drop. 3 weeks ago, I got an alert from my VPN showing unusual data transmission from my phone. 17 megabytes uploaded at 3:47 a.m. while I was asleep. 17 megabytes does not sound like much until you realize that a complete export of my portfolio history, transaction records, and linked account information totals about 14 megabytes. Someone was taking everything. So I installed a network monitoring tool called Charles Proxy. It is free, by the way. And I started logging every single data packet leaving my phone for 7 days straight. App number 1 that popped up immediately, a popular AI budgeting app I will call Budget Genius, though that is not its real name. And trust me, you will recognize it when I describe it. This app advertises itself as an AI-powered wealth tracker. Over 6 million downloads. Featured in Forbes. The works. Here is what I found. Every single time you log in, it captures a snapshot of your linked accounts and sends that data to a third-party analytics company based in Cyprus. Not some encrypted summary, your actual balance numbers, your recent transactions, even timestamps showing when you get paid. And here is the kicker. That analytics company's privacy policy states they can share anonymized insights with financial service partners, but anyone in data science will tell you that financial transaction patterns are almost impossible to truly anonymize. Your spending habits are basically a fingerprint. I reached out to Budget Genius for comment. They responded with a generic statement about industry standard practices and commitment to user privacy. They did not deny a single thing I found. Now, you might be thinking your data is protected because you are a small fish. But stick around for app number 3, because what I discovered there affects anyone with more than $2,000 invested, and the implications are genuinely terrifying. App number 2 is an AI stock prediction tool, one of those apps that claims to use machine learning to forecast market movements. I paid $29 a month for this thing. I connected my brokerage account because the app said it needed to analyze my current positions for personalized recommendations. What I found in the network logs made me cancel immediately. This app was sending my complete trade history to a server cluster in Eastern Europe every 48 hours. Not just what I own right now, every single trade I have made since connecting the account. Entry prices, exit prices, position sizes, dates, times. A complete forensic record of my investment decisions. But here is where it gets worse. I traced the server ownership through public registration records. The parent company also operates a retail trading analysis firm that sells reports to institutional investors. They literally publish reports about retail trader behavior patterns, When retail investors tend to panic sell, what momentum signals cause buying frenzies, which sectors retail money flows into during specific market conditions. I cannot prove my specific data ended up in those reports, but the infrastructure is there. The data pipeline exists. And buried on page 47 of their terms of service is a clause granting them the right to use aggregated trading insights for market research purposes. A friend of mine, who works at a mid-sized hedge fund, told me something that stuck with me. He said, "If you knew how much institutions pay for retail sentiment data, you would never connect your brokerage to anything again." We are talking 6 figures annually for premium data feeds. That is how valuable your trading behavior is. And this brings me to the most alarming discovery, the app that genuinely made me rethink every financial tool I use. App number 3 is an AI retirement planning tool. You have seen the ads everywhere. Put in your age, your savings, your goals, and the AI tells you exactly how to retire early. Millions of people trust this thing with their most sensitive financial information. Here is what I found during my 7-day audit. The app requests something called background data refresh permission. Sounds innocent. Most people approve it without thinking. But this permission allows the app to access and transmit data even when you are not using it. I logged 237 separate data transmissions over 1 week, from an app I opened maybe 3 times. I analyzed the packet contents using Wireshark, and I found something that made me genuinely angry. The app was not just sending my retirement account balances. It was sending my location data, my device usage patterns, and something labeled financial anxiety indicators, which, based on the data structure, appeared to measure how often I opened the app and how long I spent on certain screens. They are literally tracking your financial stress levels and packaging it as data. I traced where this goes. 3 different advertising networks and 1 company that specializes in what they call financial intent marketing. In plain English, they identify people who are worried about money and sell that information to lenders, insurance companies, and investment product advertisers. This is why you suddenly see ads for high-interest loans after checking your investment apps. This is why credit card offers flood your inbox after a market downturn. Your anxiety is a product. Now, here is something I want to mention because it is actually part of the solution. When I started investigating how these apps communicate, I needed to create voice recordings of my findings, walking through the data packets, explaining what I was seeing in real time. I used 11 Labs at https try 11labs.io/2pu10y92jl1 to clone my voice and generate the narration for my documentation, which let me work through hundreds of log files while the AI explained everything. Ironically, it was AI helping me expose what other AI apps were doing wrong. The difference is in how the tool handles your data, and that is actually the lesson here. App number 4 operates differently, and honestly, it is the most sophisticated of all. This is an AI-powered portfolio rebalancing tool. Very slick interface, great reviews, connects directly to your brokerage account with read-only access, which sounds safe until you understand what read-only actually allows. Read-only access means they can see everything: your holdings, your watch lists, your pending orders, your cash balance. And this particular app sends that data to a machine learning system that, according to their own marketing materials, identifies emerging retail investment trends. I found transmissions occurring within seconds of me making any change to my portfolio. Add a stock to your watch list,